Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. Welcome back for another video. In today's video, let's talk about Bitcoin, but I have some thoughts that I want to share that I have not yet shared. These are things that are developing my mind as I'm looking at the chart and looking at the broader landscape. And so if you are new to this channel or if you've been following for a while, stick around, smash up that like button, subscribe to the channel, all that. Otherwise, let's go ahead and dive right on into this. The first thing that I want to say is generally, all right, we have the Fidelity, we have BlackRock applying for spot Bitcoin ETFs. We've been waiting for this for a while. I said that that is potentially a major catalyst that can send us much higher in Bitcoin's price. So I want to talk about that later in the video, but the thing that I want to address now is simply right now, short term, this week, next week maybe. Here's the deal. We have been in this range. We have been in this range here since March of 2023. It is almost July. It's almost been 4 months. It's been 3.5 months that we have been in this range, bottom around $25,000, as high as $31,000. We are in a range. When we are at the top of the range, my general rule is when we are at the top of the range, I am bearish or I'm crabbish. When we're at the bottom of the range, I'm bullish. And so last week I said, that this logically, looking at everything, all the confluence with the moving averages and all that, the 200-week simple moving average, the 21-week EMA, the 20-week SMA, that it logically makes sense to buy. And at the same time, emotionally, it was a difficult time to buy. I'm sure of that, yes. But now we did a very aggressive move, a very quick move to the top of the range. And so what do I say? In my opinion, this is not a good time to buy. What I would rather do, and this may sound counterintuitive, I would rather as a trader be getting into longs if we break through and see a daily close, at least a daily close above this range, and then see a retest of the top of the range. That's what I would expect to happen. I would be willing to set a long there. Now, when it comes to adding to my general stack, I'm not too excited about adding to my stack at this current level. And so here's my general rule that I'm going to be following until the rule breaks. You see the bull market support band. You see that we have now had twice on a weekly candle at least, closes right above the bottom of the bull market support band. I know we had daily closes here and it looked like we were going to break down. I heard calls for $12,000 Bitcoin. I was not one of those people calling for it. It looked like we were going to break down, at least go to the 200-day simple moving average, which is around $23,000. But we bounced. We recovered very well. And so my general rule is I am going to be a buyer when we get, even if we wick below, to the bull market support band. And then when we get a little too far gone, like right here, what we saw in April, too far gone. We were too far gone from the bull market support band. I am holding off. And given the fact that we now have this spot Bitcoin ETF, which will get approved, I'll address later. Given the fact that we now have that, I see a scenario, I foresee a scenario where we just ride the bull market support band until something crazy happens. Anytime in the past that we have ridden the bull market support band, what has happened is there is a point where things just get too exciting and we either go parabolic or make this strong move up, move to $64,000 in early 2021. We just got too far gone. And then when we came back down to the bull market support band, we dumped right through it. These moves that we're seeing right now are aggressive, but they're not the kind of aggressive moves that would cause us when we get down to the bull market support band to not hold that. So if I'm seeing little moves up like this, I am okay with that. And then, hey, let's go right back down. Let's drag along. And then let's get right back to the bull market support band in anticipation of another move up. I could see that happening. There is a scenario where I could see that happening for the next 1.5 or 2 years, really. Now, do I think that's going to, economically things look pretty abysmal right now. And I could see there being a nice solid move up for the next several months. We'll see about that. I could see it just being pretty decent for the next several months. But then, it could be something similar to the COVID crash where we crash, money printer goes on, and then we're off to the races. We'll see about that. But the reason why I'm starting to think this now is because of this Bitcoin ETF. So we have Fidelity, we have BlackRock, mostly BlackRock. BlackRock has applied for a spot Bitcoin ETF. I saw a statistic, it was hard for me to find, but I saw a statistic that BlackRock does not get rejected for spot ETFs. They have applied multiple hundreds of times and they have been rejected only once. Okay, so a spot Bitcoin ETF is coming. So what does that mean in terms of the significance of the amount of Bitcoin that they're going to buy, that they're going to acquire, and they're going to custody on Coinbase? Well, here's Purpose Bitcoin ETF in Canada. They currently hold 24,705 Bitcoin. They got up to about 28,000, and then throughout the bear market, this kind of settled. They're in the mid-20s. They've been in the mid-20s for quite a while now. That is all Bitcoin that, because of this ETF, institutional money in Canada was able to come in and take that, take that Bitcoin off of exchanges, put in hard storage. This is very much illiquid supply. So what happens in the United States? I heard another person talking about he doesn't think much institutional money is coming in to the BlackRock spot Bitcoin ETF. I think that's nonsense. I think that there's going to be a great deal of institutional money coming in, including Cathie Wood. I'm not going to talk about Cathie Wood. I'm not shocked at all that she would be wanting to buy, reportedly being, quote, first in line for a spot Bitcoin ETF. She will be investing, ARK will be investing plenty of money. There will be plenty, especially if BlackRock is holding this, there will be plenty of institutional investment into Bitcoin. And if this is what we see in Canada, mid 20,000s, the United States stock market is, I believe it's like somewhere between 8 and 16 times the size of Canada. I think it's more on the 16 side. I'm not saying that we're going to see 16 times the number of Bitcoin removed from the system, but it's going to be much more than 25,000 Bitcoin. If it's 25,000 in Canada, it's going to be much more. I would be shocked if it was less than 100,000. It probably much more than that. And so remember, I haven't shown this chart in a while, but we see the total supply of Bitcoin available. Total supply that isn't in cold storage, that isn't lost. This is the total supply that you could go on an exchange and buy. And here's what we have. We have a rounded top here throughout 2020. And then this right here, somewhere around here, is literally the all-time high for Bitcoin that will ever be available to buy. And so what happens as we continue this descent is that Bitcoin is going to become more and more scarce. And what's that number here? Let me zoom in here and scroll to this side. So 25%, 27% of the total supply. And as of right now, it's more like 22%. So of the total supply, 22% of a little more than 19 million Bitcoin. So right now there's around 4 million Bitcoin available, but that number is rapidly decreasing, and the mining efficiency, the mining rate is obviously decreasing every 4 years. So this is going to be, just like this was an aggressive move up for Bitcoin available, it's going to be an aggressive move down, and the BlackRock ETF is only going to make that more difficult. Like I said, at least 100,000, but that's ultra uber conservative. I would guess more like 200,000, maybe even more than that. Bitcoin is just going to be sucked into that. And that doesn't include the fact that this is the time, this may be the cycle where institutions actually get in. Last cycle, we talked about that. We played around with that, but a spot Bitcoin ETF, there were lots of applications. They kept on getting rejected. And so what's that? The signal for institutions? It's like, well, eventually, yeah, I'll get into Bitcoin. But now we have all the big boys wanting to create ETFs. And now is the time for institutional investment to come in. So what does that mean short term? What does that mean even over the next 6 months? Nothing necessarily. But that'll get more priced in. And again, potentially what this means is we will just ride the bull market support band. So buy, in my opinion, not financial advice, I'm a buyer here. when the price gets to the bull market support band, and I am not when it rises quickly above it. So I am not a buyer right now. For trades, I'll trade whenever, but I am not a buyer right now. But one thing that I do want to point out, looking at the chart here, this is the Bitcoin USDT chart, just a little cleaner on my TradingView app here. But this reminds me a lot. This is more drawn out, but it reminds me a lot of right here. So you see, we tried breaking through that key $25,200 level, got rejected there. We were there for about a week, got rejected, spent a few weeks just in decline, and then, you know, canary in the coal mine, Silicon Valley Bank collapse, everything's going to hell, all that stuff. And it looked like things were going to be terrible. And then boom, bounce right back. And the next time we got up there, that's when we broke through. And so we have it again here. You know, we tried breaking through this level, $31,000. We got rejected, spent some time dragging along, and then, going, hearing calls for $12,000 Bitcoin again. You're an idiot if you believe that Bitcoin's not going to $12,000. And then boom, bounce right back up. And maybe it's the second time that we break through, and my expectation would be a move to this highest level that I have on this chart, a move to $32,000. And then after that, yeah, sure, $35,000 may be in the cards. That would be my next price target before, again, another move back down to the bull market support band. But slow and steady is the name of the game right now. There may be a time, there probably will be a time of euphoria, of parabolic moves, maybe even for Bitcoin. You know, we had those rounded tops in 2021, maybe even a parabolic move for Bitcoin, but the time is not now. Now is the time where alts bleed against Bitcoin. Bitcoin's dominance continues to rise. It's gotten up to 52. Last I checked, about 52. It continues to rise. And so Bitcoin is the name of the game. Ethereum a little bit. Let's look at that Bitcoin Ethereum chart real quick. And yeah, Bitcoin just has been steadily rising in its Ethereum pair throughout the last year. And I expect that to continue. Now, there are certainly times where you're going to see Ethereum do just fine. But I expect this rise, you can see certainly an ascending wedge here. I expect this rise to continue, and then for the wedge to break down, and for the price for Ethereum to outperform Bitcoin dramatically. But now is not the time. The remainder of 2023 may not be the time, well into 2024. That may not be the time, but the time is coming. But right now, it is Bitcoin's time to ride the band. And that's all I'm expecting until another time, until 2024, 2025. It seems to be, in my opinion, lining up very well for another significant move after the Bitcoin's next halving, which is 2023. You know, a few months after that, several months after that, I should say. So anyway, that is all I have for today. I would love to hear your thoughts in the comment section of this video, and I will most certainly be seeing you in another video. Peace.